We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the POMcast. I'm the host of your magical mystery tour that we call Ole Miss Fandom, Stephen Willis from the palatial Central Florida studios. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get started, I do want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. You can see it right over there. These guys is basically going to be the local hookup for you if you are traveling to Central Florida. They know all the rules. They know all the deals. They know everything that is going on from Disney to Busch Gardens to the beach to the Everglades. They have all that on lockdown. This is a hookup that is done expressly for you. We are working on the promo code and everything that you need to do, exactly what the promo is going to be. But go to Travel and Cruise World. Again, that's 1-800-330-7461. Again, that is 1-800-330-7461. That's Travel and Cruise World. Ask for Scott. He can hook you up. So these guys are going to be really great. It's going to be about hooking you guys up and providing value in your life, because that's what we want to do. These advertisements are not going to be about me. They're going to be about you. So if I can try and find something that can help you out, I'm going to do that. I have a couple other irons in the fire at the moment that I'm waiting for it to get further down the road to tell you about. That would be pretty cool as well. So pay attention, stay tuned, I guess you can say. If you're interested in watching the show, you can watch us at The Stephen Willis or at The Rebel Walk, Facebook.com/The POMcast or Facebook.com/The Rebel Walk. You can catch us on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. You can catch us on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word. On YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. That'll help you guys out as well. We're also on Instagram at Rebel Walk. Again, that's Instagram at Rebel Walk. So we're posting videos there all the time. Today at noon, the Rebel Walk recruiting show with Leanne Herring is posting. Got some, we talked a little bit about Jacarius Clayton, which we're going to get into in just a second. We also talked about a couple of 2023s that are kind of bubbling up to the surface potentially. Talked about them a little bit. We talked about a couple of guys that are flip candidates over the next couple of months. So it's a pretty good show, about 20 minutes of solid recruiting information that will appear somewhere down there. And let's see. We opened up the chat today. There's nobody had any notification that it was coming. I don't expect much to happen, but it's there anyway. I wanted to do that on Friday, continue our Friday open up the chat tradition. I just forgot to go public with that. Also, if you like a podcast, and everybody likes a podcast, we don't advertise based off of it and all that stuff, but we're on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. Several smaller podcatchers as well, but it would take the whole show to name them. So thank you very much for coming in to this, this Friday weekend show. I've recorded, so I know what the recruiting show is going to be about, even though it's going to pop up, in a couple hours from now. But Jacarius Clayton announcing at 6:30 Central tonight. That's a pretty big deal. He was a Mississippi State commit. He backtracked a little bit now. According to his top two, is between Ole Miss and Arizona State, and I feel pretty good about this one, honestly. And Randall Joyner and Marquise Watson's just doing some work on the defensive line. We all know that in the SEC, that is the heart of the whole football team. You can't have a good football team without a good defensive line in this league. You're going to get exposed. It's always been a game that is fought in the trenches. And the realistic part of in the trenches is they recruit offensive linemen to block these monsters at defensive line. So we're always going to be, in this league, defensive line oriented. And right now on the defensive line, Randall Joyner is doing some work. He just absolutely is. And you can see the talent and the size-speed ratio and all those things just start ticking up with every commitment. And he has a chance to build a group of guys. Like I said, in this hybrid defense, there's going to be some 4-3 principles. There's going to be some 3-4 principles, but they're going to be hybrid players, essentially. And some, the nose guard is going to play like a true nose guard, and then you're going to branch off of that. Sometimes 3-4 with 2-3-4 defensive ends. Sometimes you have a 3 technique in there with a defensive end that's playing out wide along with the pass rusher that's standing up. The principles are the same, but the players being interchangeable are an important part of this. And it's important to realize that these players, they're just mountains of men. Now, before you think they're mountains of men that can't move, they're truly as what we call dancing bears. You're talking 370 pounds and just can move. Getting recruited by high-level players, there's a chance of a flip of one guy from Mississippi, I think we talked about, that could flip at some point. But he's just unbelievably agile for as big as he is. I mean, between him and Xavier Harris, just two huge men. And then you get Jacarius Clayton. And what you need to see from him, if Ole Miss gets him, is he fits into that 3 technique. He fits into that strong side defensive end. That's the versatility that this player plays with. At 280 pounds, he has the ability to play both. Now, he's probably not going to play too much rush in or weak side defensive end. He's not really big enough to play nose. He might be a third down nose, depending on the agility and the speed that is required. But he's a player that can play across the front, as you can see. And Tupelo traditionally has been just a nightmare scenario for Ole Miss. I think in 2019 that thawed a little bit. And Ole Miss got the wide receiver out of Tupelo, signed him up, and they had Joe Horn Jr. Committed for, basically the whole time, and then didn't sign with Ole Miss. That's fine. But it's been a Mississippi State stronghold for a while. I mean, in 2019, Ole Miss signed players from Brandon and Tupelo, and I was shocked. Just absolutely shocked. Because those are places that are not just strongholds, they're elite strongholds. To put this in perspective for you, they were essentially their South Panola. To where they could farm players through and get them in, and going all the way back to Chad Bumpus, going all the way back further than that. I mean, Tupelo and Brandon have been really good to Mississippi State over the years. So to see Ole Miss get involved, and not just get involved, start winning, that shows kind of what's happening. And this is going to be my hot take. Everybody likes to make fun of the 2019 Mississippi-made class, but honestly, we are not here without it. Anything that has happened this year is directly attributable to that class. Did we miss out on a couple of defensive linemen? Yep. Did we miss out on Kobe Dean? Yep. Did we sign a 5-star that class? Yep. Did we sign a utility player that's elite? Yep. Did we go into places like Tupelo and Brandon and win? Yep. All of these were in that Mississippi-made class, and that was the turnaround class. Now, if you remember back to 2019, whenever everything started turning, it started turning off the camp season. And I think we got 10 or 11 commitments off of the camp series. And players like Sam Williams broke out. Players like, Jonathan Mingo. We always knew that we were going after Jerry and Ely. But you look at that whole recruiting class. Our offensive line is going to be a ton of that class, even though they might not be Mississippi made. But that was a great recruiting class. It just absolutely was. Now, there's some players defensively that are going to get processed and transferred out because they were recruited for a 3-4. And what we do is a little bit differently. It's a different type of player. So we have to overhaul the personnel on that side of the ball. Remember, there is not one football player. What you're asking somebody to do, they might not be able to do it. But if you specify exactly what is needed, you're going to be able to pull that off. And then you look at the linebackers like Lakeith Henry. But they got recruited into a 3-4. Cover the A gaps, cover the B gaps. Now we're asking linebackers to go sideline to sideline. All of a sudden, off tackle, that was a problem at the beginning of last season. It was because of personnel. It wasn't because of scheme. It was because of personnel. So just pay attention to that. And this is a guy that can play multiple spots on the defensive line and fill in for holes for whatever we're doing. Because on the defensive line and the front seven, we are a hybrid. Think of it as 4-3 or 3-4. We want the personnel to do both. We want to be multiple. So there might be plays where first down we're in a 3-4 with a stand-up rush in. Second down we're in a 4-3. Same personnel. And after that we're in a 4-1-6. This is an extremely multiple defense, and you can see this by us getting guys that are one-on-one winners. This coaching staff doesn't seem to recruit a guy that struggles with a one-on-one. So you see a lot of great ball skills. You see a lot of great determination. You see a lot of great motors. So I trust these guys implicitly with their evaluations, which is something that I didn't really do. I don't know if I've done it at Ole Miss in the previous 20 years in the Rivals 24/7 era. I don't know if I completely trusted evals because I think there was a lot of guys that believed in one football player. No matter what you do, he can do it, or he should be able to do it. And that isn't the fact. You recruit a guy to handle a specific set of tasks, build a defense around that, and go. Now, people might say that might make you simple, that might make you predictable. Well, in the age of tempo, you need to be. You need to be able to get the call. You need to simplify things down to the lowest common denominator so there's not busts and big plays. So that simplicity is the winner. We're going to take a short break. Whenever we come back, we are going to talk about general defense and what you need to look forward to. Very simplified, very 30,000 feet view, but we'll talk a little bit about what defenses do. All right, stick around. All right, welcome back to the POMcast. I am, of course, your host, Stephen Willis, right here on this magical mystery tour we call Ole Miss Fandom. I'm going to talk a little bit about defenses and what you need to look at and what you can actually notice in the course of a game, okay? Whenever you're looking at this. And this is very 30,000 feet view. This is very simplistic. Anybody can follow this. But whenever they hear phrases like chasing space or chasing grass, they automatically mock it. Most defenses do that, whether or not they use the terminology. Most offenses do that. Whether or not they use the terminology depends on them. Lane Kiffin does that. And it's all about attacking weak points in the defense, right? All right, so before we get started, I do want to tell you about the Rebel Walk. They provide a subscriber level experience for no money. It doesn't cost you anything but time, and boy, oh boy, is it worth it. Evelyn and her team, probably the biggest around Ole Miss at the moment. They have experts for all the sports, and you can follow the sports and have fun. And isn't that a cool thing if you could just have fun, if it wasn't such a chore? It doesn't need to be a chore. Just have fun. But they do that. Go over to therebelwalk.com for more information. That is therebelwalk.com. Okay, so defensive football in its very simplest terms is like an accordion, okay? Like a closed accordion. And as long as that accordion stays 10 to 15 yards, they can constrict you. They can absolutely constrict you and actually defend everything that you want to do, okay? And people always have known about this because they talk about taking the top off the defense. But when you think about this, the free safety, their number one rule is deeper than the deepest. And after that, that is going to cause space to open. That is going to cause the accordion to open up. And in a simple run play, if this thing is at, let's say they're lining up at 12 yards. I mean, some people do 15, some people do 12. I mean, it doesn't matter. The free safety at 12, defensive line right there. So it's 12 yards from the free safety to the defensive line. That's pretty much the delineation. And a running play, the linebackers attack forward, and that little bit of space condenses even more. But whenever they collapse forward, the space between the free safety and the linebackers behind them opens up. So this is the reason play action passes work. It creates a little separation of space in between levels of defenders. Now, if you mix that play action pass game to where the linebacker is basically playing on skates, to where they have to run responsibility and they have to get back to cover the pass, if they cover that, that opens up the accordion in front of the linebackers behind the defensive line. That is the reason the draw play works. So, when I say this offense that Lane Kiffin runs tortures linebackers, I absolutely mean it. Because right there between draw and screen and play action pass, the linebackers are already moving. That's front and back motion. So now add in the pre-snap, the jet sweep, where a linebacker has to think about going out to the side to follow that guy. If you don't do it, they're going to give it the jet sweep, and he's going to gain 5 to 7 yards. If he breaks the cornerback, gets blocked, or a strong safety slips down, he's gone. So that adds lateral movement for their decision making. And at any point, there are options on these jet sweeps to where you can basically run a jet sweep or a zone read off of the backside. So that's lateral movement and vertical movement. All responsive, all the linebackers have to take into account. So this offense that Lane Kiffin runs is designed to torture those linebackers. They false step here, false step here. All of a sudden, 3 false steps are happening, and the accordion that should be open that far behind the linebackers is open that far. because there's going to be a deep route that's going to control the free safety because most every rule is deeper than the deepest. So that eliminates one of your defenders right there. Because any defensive coach worth his salt wants there to genuinely be 2 players for every one attacker. You want a numbers advantage every time. So the free safety is always going to do that. You can man cover all you want. That can take 2 players out of it. So now you're dealing with a 10-on-9 with all that space behind the linebackers, with those 3 players having to look at all 4 directions for responsibilities, and a super quick slot receiver in the background with a strong safety to break a tackle on for a big play, or a tight end. You can attack it that way. The deep routes are going to be attacked from double moves on the outside. They're going to scare the free safety. They're going to make them play deeper because big plays are going to happen in this offense because of that. Because the whole purpose of this offense is to take the closed accordion and open it up. And if you can make them play within a 25-yard box as opposed to a 12-yard box, the offense is going to be exponentially more effective. That's the way Todd Grantham used to be. That's the way Nick Saban and Kirby Smart used to be. They want to constrict you into that 12-yard box because they didn't think you were good enough to go over the top of it because they have better players and they have a numbers advantage going back there. But what you're seeing is people starting to pick on those linebackers. And those linebackers have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And now they're just jumbo-sized. They're essentially jumbo-sized defensive backs because they have to be excellent in pass coverage because of spread offenses, but super agile. So the days of the A-gap and B-gap linebackers are coming to an end because of the RPO game and the pass option game within the offense. So I hope everybody has a good weekend. I'm going to give you all a bunch of minutes back. I did the Rebel Walk Recruiting Show. That's going to air at 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Central. Rebel Rankings comes out at 2 today, and we're filming an SEC After Dark tonight. So I've got a busy day set up today. And we're going to keep an eye on the Jacarius Clayton situation. If he commits to the good guys, we're going to do a commit watch maybe tomorrow, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday, maybe Monday. Who knows? We're going to Hollywood Studios Sunday, so it's probably not going to be Sunday, but it might be Sunday night. And we're also, I'm going to Tampa, I think, Saturday. So got some plans and a couple irons in the fire, but we're going to get that information to you as soon as possible. Again, visit our call, Travel and Cruise World, 1-800-330-7461 for all your Central Florida vacation needs. It's always good to have a local. Getting local hookup is a good thing. We're still working on the promo deal for that. So I'm going to give you guys back several minutes. Hope everybody has a good weekend and safe weekend. And, of course, hotty toddy.